the AI TV team has managed to track down another international visitor at this year's edition of AI Expo Africa, Logan McKee, all the way from the UK. He's from Open Teams. In fact, Logan, you were just telling us that your company, welcome by the way,
thank
first
you very
of all,
much, thank you.
Your company, so you've got a presence in the UK, but you do work beyond the borders of the UK, and we'll get to that in a moment. But just explain to us what exactly it is that you do.
Sure. There's a lot of facets of Open Teams, but primarily we create custom AI solutions for our clients. The big piece to know about Open Teams is the ownership and sovereignty aspect of what we offer. We want Africa, we want all the companies in Africa to own their AI, not rent their AI. And so we actually create the solutions to make that possible. And so we believe in full data ownership. You shouldn't be sending your data to foreign countries, for example, for them to train other models. That should stay here. That's Africa's data. Let's have it remain here. But you can still utilize these amazing AI tools on top of that so that you're not left behind.
So what needs to happen for us in order then to be able to do that for the continent, and where do you come in?
That's a fantastic set of questions. So in order to make that happen, yes, there has to be some physical infrastructure. We come in and provide the software infrastructure layer. We've made it very easy, actually. At Open Teams, we have learned over years and years of consulting with clients what this infrastructure layer needs to look like to then build on top of it. We can come in and install that in hours, 2 hours maybe. And that's years of work to get to that point.
Anywhere on the continent?
Anywhere on the continent, yeah. We can install our software on premises or in the cloud of choice. And so once you have that infrastructure, then it comes down to, let's build these tools for you based on your data. So obviously Africa would need to have a lot of data. We can help digitize that data, but I want to be very clear. We never will take that data and share that externally. It is yours, and so that's why we often build on premises or in your cloud. We're not trying to take that data.
And once you've done that, do you come in, how much time do you spend with a company, for instance? Because it's not a sort of homogeneous setup, right? So what I might need might be different from what the guy working upstairs or downstairs requires.
So due to the nature of how customizable the work is, you said it perfectly, your needs are different to the guy next door. And so we will scope the work and really understand your vision, and then that will determine how long the project might take. I can tell you, we've got projects that might last just a couple of weeks. We have projects that last a couple of years.
Right.
It all depends on the complexity and what you're actually looking to do. But by nature, with how flexible we are, that's a conversation we have with our clients to determine the timeline.
And who do you find, in terms of a client base, is actually coming to you looking for this sort of thing?
Anyone who has private data, like banks and these financial institutions, governments, that's a big piece of our business. Any corporation that has this private data, customer data, that you simply cannot afford to leak and share that with external companies, they come running to us. Because that ownership piece, like I mentioned before, is crucial. And the fact that they're not going to be reliant on us in the future to subscribe and continue to use our services, you're going to be completely independent to play with your data, grow your databases, and still have these amazing solutions on top.
Because data is currency, right, in the world that we're living in?
Data is currency, data is power. And you'll see, I won't mention any companies out of respect to them, but they look to get as much data as they can. And they will subsidize a lot of the compute costs. They will try to do whatever it takes to get this data, and that's not our model. We have no interest in that. We, like I said before, the sovereignty is what we're the aim of the game.
Is it the sort of thing then, Logan, that is better suited, I wonder, to private business, or should the public sector, so the governments on the continent as well, be coming to people like you for help, because they are arguably the handlers of the largest volumes of data?
Absolutely. I would say both. Why don't I answer that question by telling you who does not need to come? Companies that simply don't have private data, use these amazing companies and use those tools. They really are incredible. But any corporation, but especially governments do actually come to us, and we have great conversations about what can be built for them. they are, I would consider them to be our target market, just because of the fit that we find.
And in finding that fit, coming in to offer a government solution, like I said, on size alone can be a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
So when you do come in, what is the sort of first thing that you would say to the people in charge to say, listen, here's where we need to start, and this is the end point, ideally, in an ideal scenario?
So each conversation with governments and heads of state is obviously different. We try and customize and tailor our solutions to fit the needs of both the government but also the citizens that they serve. And so some governments in Africa might be focusing on urban planning tools, and we'll come in prepared to talk through what we believe would be the crucial things to work on. Other governments might be more interested in financial transparency with their citizens to try and help combat corruption and things of that nature. So that conversation all depends on the priorities of those in power. But really, we can be very flexible with the solutions that we offer. So we've just got to try and find that fit and understand what are your interests as a country, and we can find alignment.
And I'm not sure how long you've been at AI Expo Africa this year. I mean, the program has run over 3 days. Most of the people who are showing their products, services, solutions, etc., are startups.
Yes.
From various parts of the continent. What have you seen out there? What's caught your eye?
Well, I've been here for the whole time. We were actually we're exhibiting here as well. I've had wonderful conversations with a lot of people, startup companies. I have seen that a lot of these folks have said, look, it's kind of, things are expensive. Oftentimes they feel like we're behind. What can we do? I actually gave a panel speech to talk about sovereignty, but also open source software. Open source is very accessible. For those in your audience who aren't aware of what open source is, essentially you can go to GitHub and find many, many wonderful code bases out there that you can actually use for free. You can not only use them, but you can contribute and grow the community base and grow the code that you can then use to build brand new businesses, scale the business that you have. And so it's a very cost-effective way to get the absolute best, most secure and scalable software for your business.
Right.
And so I've been educating a little bit about that. Actually my company, Open Teams, we only use open source software because of just how safe and secure that it is. And so obviously, to answer your question, primarily it's that. Africa feels like, a lot of companies in Africa, we feel like, I'm behind. But really it's not as daunting as it might seem.
So you mentioned cost then.
Yes.
Is money still a great barrier in terms of access for the innovators, the startups, and ultimately the end user?
Yes. I mean, you've probably seen on the news these behemoth salaries that companies like Meta have been offering for these, incredible AI talent. It's hard. It can be very expensive to hire the absolute best engineers that really create. But there's a lot of other roles in AI that you don't need to look at Silicon Valley for. You can find a lot of wonderful talent here. And actually companies like Open Teams, not only do we come and bring our expertise here, but we look to train local talent as well. So there are companies out there that are willing to not only provide the best engineering talent possible, but they're also willing to invest their time to bring the next generation of engineers up and really give them the experience needed.
Logan McKee, a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
You enjoy the rest of your time at AI Expo Africa. That's Logan McKee from Open Teams. They work with custom, sovereign AI tools, if that's what you're interested in. They work with everyone from the public to the private sector as well, based in the UK, but their services are available across multiple territories.